how should we look at the mutual sexual or physical relationship among adolescents. Even in the Western world, very stable parents, when they come to me, they do not want their children to engage in sexual behavior when they are adolescents, because many of them do not follow safe sex. And when we talk about safe sex, parents and schools say that we are promoting promiscuity. So I think we need to, any life skills education to certain extent, if it has to survive in our country, we need to be culturally appropriate. That would mean if you're talking in an elite school, it's a different issue. But if you're talking in your government rural school, saying that you can have a physical relationship, I'm not being judgmental, but we need to remember the culture. Because this has been repeatedly, I can tell you, life skills education in the Western world, in America, today talks only about abstinence. You cannot show a condom in a life skills class in America, in the United States of America. You cannot talk about, free sex, though it is prevalent, so much prevalent. So some of the things are, you cannot go to, many of the life skills programs of UNICEF failed in many of the countries because they were not culturally appropriate. You just go to Indonesia and talk about some of these issues. You think that they will allow you to run these life skills programs? No. You need to be culturally appropriate. While you know that it can happen, but you cannot normalize it. Because pregnancy is one thing, safe sex, sexually transmitted diseases, financial gain, promiscuity, all these are some of the side effects of adolescent sex.
So just Dr. Srikala, just to sort of calibrate what you're saying. So how does a person who's working with children or a teacher or a community worker calibrate their messaging? Like when you say it's culturally appropriate, what should they keep in mind?
Because you're not going to do one-off class, you are going to do a series of classes on sexuality. So there will be a class on safe sex. There will be a class on sexually transmitted diseases. There will be a class on at what age we are sexually, prepared to have sex. Yes, somebody can have sex at the age of 12 years, but is that the appropriate age? Because the body is, ready to a certain extent because somebody has attained puberty, started having menstruation. But is that the time to have sex? So calibration, when you talk about it, we also need to understand that life skills are always not about one skill. It's always about a combination of skills. What is it? Am I also looking at other ways of knowing that what sort of an outcome will I get? If somebody says that as a 16-year-old boy, in the Western world, you know that, so a 10th standard boy having sex with a 6th standard or a 7th standard girl will be jailed. Age difference is 2 years. All is allowed. And in most of the countries also, people talk about, at least in USA and in Catholic countries, they talk about abstinence openly. They talk about abstinence openly. But it is a culture which encourages boyfriend and girlfriend. We have not gone there. So instead of asking this whoever has asked this, would you now take a first step before? Would you allow dating? Would you have your girl to say that this is my steady boyfriend, this is my steady girlfriend? That may happen in some of the metropolis, in Delhi and in Bombay and in Bangalore. But would you allow that in your village school or a Tanjavur school? I don't think so. So that is the cultural aspect that I'm saying. That is the calibration. If you won't allow that, then the sexual activity is a stealthy activity. Whereas in those countries, the girls will say that, a 16-year-old girl or an 18-year-old girl, so will go and spend the night with your boyfriend. Parents won't object to it because the girl is 18. So the calibration has to come from your culture also. Otherwise, you won't have a place in the culture. But I think you still need to, if we will not allow dating, then we should not be talking about how do I look at it. you should say that, do you know the consequences? Pregnancy is a very big consequence. Because children, do you think that the boy will be able to go and get a condom, or the girl will be able to do a safe sex of, safe period method? I have had my period, so during this time I can have sex with that boy. No. Or will she have a copper T? How do you do safe sex when the culture itself doesn't allow all these things? So it's a very big sexually transmitted diseases, and pregnancy are and somebody becomes pregnant. The girl will not open the mouth till she is 20 weeks old. After that, can you get it aborted? No. And it is an unwanted child. So that's why some of the decisions we make in adolescence decides our future in youth and adulthood. And this is something which I keep talking about with the adolescents. So the decision making on where you have your free choice. There are lots of things where we do not have a choice, but there are certain things where we have a choice, and that needs to be recognized and stuck to.
This is rather than the process itself, itself.
So that is it has to come multiple times, because one time doesn't stick to anybody's life, mind. So it has to be repeated, and you bring in a culture in the whole class of that. So if a girl is going like that, the other friend should be able to tell, hey, are you able to understand what you are doing? If one good friend asks her that, or a boy asks him that, do you understand what you are doing? It will be a awakening call for that person. So that's why we do it in groups, because it becomes a group culture. It becomes a peer culture. That's very important.